Hi everyone. In today's episode, I'm going to look at the question: do you really need more life experience to start writing? Right? Oftentimes, for me, I feel that in a way is a way to put off writing. So, like, okay, when I get older, I'm going to write. When I get a grade A, I will have a lot of experience to write about and to talk about. Which, in a way, you're not absolutely wrong in what you're saying. But the truth is this: I think there's a quote from Benjamin Franklin. I'll paraphrase the quote, but I'm pretty sure that he was the one who said it. The thing is that either you do something, you live a life, you do something absolutely worth writing about, or yeah, I think he said you do something absolutely worth writing about, or you write. How did he say it again? Either you live a life absolutely worth writing about, or you write something about. Yeah, I can't remember, but he said either you live the life or you write about the life itself. Yeah. So the thing is this: with writing is a form of experience, right? Writing itself is a form of experience. And one of the things I love about writing is that you can create the experience. So wait, what I mean? What do I mean? With fiction, for example, if you write fiction, you wanted to write and you could do a couple of research, right? And you might not be a teacher per se, but you can create it. And most of the things that most writers write, most of them, they're not really those kind of persons. They've not really done those things per se. But it's just the way most actors can act a role. That's the way a writer can kind of create these characters and get them to live the life and stuff like that. You can do research to write. And there's this quote from there's an author I've forgotten the name of the author. He said that if you've lived up to 12 years, you have enough experience to write for the rest of your life. I don't really know how true that is, but I kind of find an element of truth in it because for most of us, we have a lot of experience. Like our childhood is just so vast, like so vast. There's so many things we could write about. But then the reason why we're even saying, do I need more life experience is in the first place, we are assuming that we're writing about our life, which is not true. But most times in fiction, there are elements of the writer itself in the work. Yeah, and we have to just acknowledge that the elements of the writer in work in some form, right? Okay. So since there are elements of writers in some form, so the question is we can create the life experience. Okay. And the first thing I would always say, and I will say, is that use what you have to create what you want. Right? So the first thing is you're like, oh, I don't really have more life experience. I'm very young, I've not really lived life and everything. The life you've lived, write that. Use what that experience, that little iota of experience you have to write. And guess what happens? Over time, you build your writing skills to become really, really good. And then eventually, if you do have the experience, you'll be able to make use of that experience. Because oftentimes, what makes a story isn't necessarily how interesting the story is per se. It's more about how the writer tells the story. Because most of the great stories, they are like common. Like when they tell you the plot, you're like this story is just common. Like I would expect something big to happen, but this is like ordinary life that I've been living, right? And oftentimes, when most people say I don't have life experience, what they meant to say is that my life is so boring. For sometimes, I'm like, write the boring stuff. Yeah, I've read a lot of boring works, like absolutely boring, yet it was really, really fantastic. Like think of Ernest Hemingway. It's The Old Man and the Sea. It's an old man who goes to out fishing and is battling with the elements, the fish, and everything. Like he's trying to fish and trying to catch the fish, but the fish, they're eluding his hooks and everything. That's like that itself is just an ordinary story. There's really nothing so significant about it. But that itself, when you read the story, you see a sense of man against nature, fighting man versus nature, right? So the question is, you can create the experience, you can create the life, you can create the world itself. You can make the rules and you can break the rules. You can create, like it's in your hand. You can, in your own world, create something of your own. And then you can also do research, do a lot of research, ask people questions to know and see perspective of a lot of things to create your own work, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to write everything about what happens to you. You can write about different things. So writing itself, the thing is this, I keep saying, if your goal is to write with what you have, you won't be bothered that I don't have so much life experience. The experience you have, like yesterday, you lived a life. Write about yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, like it's boring. Yeah, that's your good job. Your job is to make it interesting. Make it interesting. That's your job. Yeah. So you can't tell me that you a day old? Probably. I don't know, but I don't even know how you understand what I'm saying if you're a day old. But most of us, we have so many days in our life. The thing is that if you attempt to start journaling, like taking snippets of your days, what happens? What will happen is that you start seeing ideas and a lot of things happening. There's so many experiences every day. Like a day of your life alone there are so many things that you could write from it. There's so many experiences you could write from it. Create fiction, poetry, or non-fiction from it alone. So when you have that perspective shift, what you realize is that yeah, having a great life experience is awesome, but oftentimes, if you don't have life experience, live the life. Yeah, and you can also take from your life, and if it's boring, make it interesting. What will make it interesting? Isn't that what the story is? The twist, the surprise, the conflict. That's what a story is. Yeah, give it to us. Okay, so the writing itself is a form of gaining experience. I talked about that. Unique perspectives can come from any stage of life, whether you're young, you're old, whatever age you are, your unique perspectives, right? And many successful writers started young, many of them. Some of, like, when I saw the age at which some of those writers wrote their first work, I'm like, dude, what am I even doing with my life? Yeah. Yeah. So many of them started at a very young age and they started writing. So the question is, use what you have. Like, the question you'll be asking is, how can I use what I have to the best of my ability? Not how can I get, like, of course, getting more experience is great, it's awesome. But the thing is that when you say, how can I get more experience? What will happen is that you would see a reason to get more experience. Because for most of us, our life is just so familiar to us that there's nothing so special about it. Yeah, there's this familiarity. Like, it's so familiar to us that there's nothing so unique about it. And yet other people look at our life and like, this guy's life is living the life. Like, this guy have a lot of conflict in life. This guy is suffering and stuff like that. I'm like, there's nothing really special. And like, it's just ordinary. There's really no story in it. I'm like, dude, there's a story. Every day you're trying to survive. That's a story, right? So yesterday is a story. Today is a story. So you have a lot of experience in the days. If you start with microfiction, short story, and flash fiction, you start from there, and then later on, when you start writing novels about big life issues, you get those things. And of course, you can also do research. But use what you have to create what you can to the best of your ability. And when you have more, you use more to create what you can to create more with. But until then, use what you have. Okay, so what are the practical advice I have? So first thing is to keep a daily journal, which I said that daily journal, the whole goal is to find significance in everyday moments. Things that happen, just like document it. The journal is not necessary to be a complete word for word things that happen in your life. It's meant to be capture memory triggers capture. So what it means that oftentimes when you write in your journal, when you read the journal, it's so you get sufficient information for you to try to travel back in time to remember exactly what happened. So the next thing you can also do is you can research and interview others to expand your knowledge base. You can talk to people, right? You can eavesdrop in conversation. I didn't really say that. Don't, if they catch you, don't say I'm the one that said you should go and eavesdrop. I didn't tell you anything. I said you can't. And you say you should go and do it. Okay. Then focus on emotional truth rather than just factual experiences. How did the people feel? What is going on through rather than, okay. Oftentimes it's fiction. You can create your world, except you're writing historical fiction, then you have to do a lot of research. It doesn't really matter the life experience you have. Now, Natalie Goldberg once said that writing down the bones, write what disturbs you, write what you fear, what you have not been willing to speak about, be willing to split open, right? There are a lot of things that like, there's this story that agonizes us. There's this burden that's in us for most of us that writers. Those things, that's we should start writing that. Yeah. Okay, so the challenge I have for you is the challenge for today is to write a short story or essay based on the most mundane part of your day. Find the ordinary in the extraordinary in the ordinary. So what is the most mundane part of your day? Ordering coffee, taking a walk to school, or trying to survive the next, like the mundane. Just write about it and let's see the extraordinary in it. Let's see the conflict in it. Let me know how the experiment goes. And if you'd like to follow along with my journey, you can subscribe to my newsletter at beautywriting.com/newsletter, or you can click on the link in the description. And every week I send a newsletter about things I'm working on, the things I've tried, my failures, and every other thing, along with my mistakes and results and everything, right? So far, I've been your host, Oyemichi Nwakona, and you've been listening to the Beauty Writing Podcast. And until next time, keep writing. Don't let the quote-unquote life experience stop you from writing itself. Yeah, because the thing is that you will never feel sufficient, enough, like you never feel sufficient enough to start writing. And because you don't feel sufficient enough to start writing, you will never write. And the cycle just continues. So use what you have to write what you can.